What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to your daily news report for Friday, April 22nd. Let's get down to what is currently being discussed. Now, we got some major news because there's a major gas price prediction. I want to explain where it's coming from and what the prediction is. We're going to talk about credit cards and how some people are using credit cards to pay for their rents. This is turning into more of a rental crisis. I want to explain why and what could be coming here. We're going to talk about student debt relief, what is actually looking likely moving forward, and I also want to give you a stock market update, as long as some details as to why we saw the stock market sell off, not just today, but really over the past week. So let's get right down to it. All I ask is if you enjoy these daily uploads, do me a favor, go ahead and hit that like button. Now, more and more people are starting to say that they cannot make it another month without relief. And honestly, I can see why. There's not a lot of, there's a lot of jobs openings, but people are not hiring like they should. And I want to explain why. One of the main groups that isn't getting hired are elderly people. People that are 60 years old and older. They're not getting hired. And the reason for that is because employers are looking for somebody a little bit younger, somebody that's going to be in the workforce for a little bit more than just a few years or 3 to 5 years. They want somebody that they can train and they can stay employed with them for the long term. And that's not really what many people that are 60 or 65 years old are going to provide. So it creates a lot of problems. But not only is it that unemployment and really employment is an issue, but everything is getting more expensive. Inflation is still an issue. The problem right now that I'm seeing is that the Biden administration and many lawmakers are only talking about providing relief to a certain group of individuals. Those people are people with student loan debt. Now, the reason for this big push is because for student loan forgiveness right now, this is what many people are saying they need. They need to see this forgiven because that's an additional $400 or roughly $400 on average that people pay every single month. That's a substantial amount of money. Now, what we are hearing is that if student loan forgiveness is not pushed and it isn't passed, then many are already expecting they're going to fall behind on payments. And just this week, the New York Fed, they said that once the payment pause ends, borrowers are expecting a 16.1% chance of delinquency. Now, you probably think, well, that's not too bad. Well, it's bad enough. And I say this is bad enough because this is even higher than the pre-pandemic financial hardships, which were about 15.6%. So again, we're already seeing an increase from pre-pandemic levels, which that's not a good sign. And according to Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, he says that Democrats can come back. Democrats can win the midterm elections. President Biden can improve his polling numbers, but it's going to come down to what happens with student loan forgiveness. If it actually happens, great. Democrats would have a better chance, at least according to Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. Now, here's the question. What is President Biden going to do? Will he simply extend the student loan payment pause again? If he does, that's not great for Democrats because this isn't what he promised. Okay? This is one of the options, but this is not what he promised. Or will President Biden do exactly what he promised and cancel up to $10,000 in student debt? Now, keep in mind, he says up to $10,000. That could be $1,000. It could be $5,000, it could be $10,000. But I saw something today that said that student loan borrowers would likely default on the first 3 to 6 months of payments. Okay. Well, if we take that, because what we know is many lawmakers are all about the national deficit, right? They want to make sure we're not falling behind. Well, if nobody pays this debt, right, it's just stuck with the federal government, right? Well, here's the thing. And I saw this today. I thought, well, that's interesting. But if people are going to fall behind about 3 to 6 months worth of payments, well, what was brought up was why wouldn't they just provide 3 to 6 months worth of payments, right? Wouldn't that make more sense than providing $10,000 in student debt forgiveness? Well, that's not what President Biden promised. But again, this is something that it's up to $10,000. So let's say it's $400 a month, all right, for 3 months. That's $1,200. Or for 6 months, $2,400. So even $2,400 would be a pretty significant move, at least according to this article. So we can see that happen. Again, that's not coming from lawmakers. That was coming from, I believe, some type of professor. But that's one option. The other one is President Biden canceled up to $50,000 in student debt. This is what's being discussed the most because it's the biggest amount. But really, we'll see what happens there. Now, let's talk about something that I heard from somebody here in the community. I actually just heard this recently this week, where somebody said that they've been paying their rent with their credit card for the past 3 months. Now, and I know a bunch of people that do this. I know a lot of people that do pay their rents using a credit card. The troubling part about this is rents are still going up. Credit card debt is increasing. The interest on these cards is also going up as well. Now again, and I know a lot of people pay rent using a credit card, and I don't want to say most. The agencies that I know, okay, the people that you pay through. In most cases, if you use a credit card, you pay a fee. You pay like a 1-2% fee. Okay, I understand this. Now the problem comes in is when you can't afford to pay your credit card off every single month. It's a great option to be able to pay with a card, right? You pay a little fee, and as long as your cash back is more than your fee, you're coming out ahead. But if it's not, then really what's the point? But the problem again comes with you can't afford to pay your credit card off every single month, which means you'd be paying on your rent, on that month's rent, for potentially the next year or so. And that's a huge issue. And this is one of the reasons why I know a lot of people are worried about, well, what if they rack up their credit card bill and they max it out? Well, if you max it out, you can't use it, right? And so that's a big issue. And so that's one of the things I just wanted to kind of discuss is I know a lot of people are paying their rent with a credit card, but just understand that if things go sideways, which they could, right? If we see rates go up very quickly, you're stuck paying that. Okay, so if you cannot afford to pay off your rent immediately after the amount hits your account, it's probably not a good idea. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now, the big thing that happened today is regarding the stock market, right? The stock market, once again, and I know a lot of people are worried and nervous about investing in the stock market right now, and I completely understand. But when everybody is fearful, this is, in my opinion, one of the best times to buy because this is when prices are likely the lowest. They're likely going to be the best. And again, when prices are falling, you got to keep in mind that your risk is actually reduced because you're putting in less money. You're risking less money. But when prices are going up and you're like, oh, everything's green, I'm going to buy in, and all of a sudden it just drops, well, you risked more money. You got to keep that in mind. Now, I'm not saying right now is the best time to buy. I'm not buying everything right now. I'm buying the certain companies that I really like, okay? But what I'm saying is you should never be completely just ride off the markets because you could make some good money. You can make some great returns, but you have to be invested in order to make those returns. Now, I don't want to address, the stocks I'm buying. I know a lot of people don't even care, but I want to explain what is going on and why. Because today the Dow fell by 981 points, or roughly 2.8% today. This drop made it the worst day since October 2020, and this also marks the 4th consecutive weekly decline. That's not good. It's pretty much in the past 3 months, 7 or 8 weeks have been negative. They haven't been great. We've closed negative. Hey, that's not a good sign. But why did all this happen? That's what you guys really want to know. Why did all this happen? Well, this happened because what the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell said yesterday. He stated that there is a 50 basis point rate hike on the table for the May meeting. And he also said that this hike is absolutely essential to combat inflation. But here's the key. Multiple economists are predicting that it's not just going to be one 50 basis point rate hike. The prediction is the Fed is going to have to come out, and over the next 3 to 4 meetings, they're going to have to raise rates by at least 50 basis points each time. That means we'd are 2%. You see a 2% jump in the next 4 meetings. So essentially, the Fed could suck all the optimism out of the market, and this could happen over the next 3 to 4 meetings. And that is why there's such a massive sell-off across the board, not just today, but over the past week, is because people we're seeing uncertainty. We don't know what's going to happen. But again, now is a great time to invest, but you have to stay invested. Okay? Don't invest today, or well, you can't today, but don't invest on Monday, then all of a sudden Tuesday you sell. Okay? If you make money, great, but if it drops, you're like, I'm losing all my money, gotta sell. Well, that happens. You buy in, it comes down, it comes back up, it goes down, comes back up, and you make some money, right? Again, not financial advice, but I highly recommend you at least get into the markets. And if you want to jump in, I'll put a link down in the description box below. You can go and sign up for Webull, and they'll give you free stocks. So again, there'll be a link down in the description box below. You can go and sign up. You don't even have to deposit any money, and you get free stocks. That's the good thing about that, is you can invest using their money, not yours. And lastly, I want to talk about gas prices for a moment. And the reason why I want to do this is because JP Morgan said that if the EU ban on Russian oil, all right, if this goes into effect, it could send the price of Brent up to $165 a barrel. That's a pretty substantial surge. This is such a surge in prices could easily push gas prices up over $5 here in the US. I believe we're currently at like $4.12. So we could jump up like 88 cents because of prices going up to $165 a barrel. That's substantial. And when JP Morgan says this, it's because it could happen. I'm not talking about like CNN or Fox News. Oh, careful, watch out for this. Hey, this is JP Morgan. This is what they do. Okay? I want to be very clear on something. Even though the United States is not buying Russian oil, other countries are, and they are relying heavily on Russian oil. Okay? But the problem with this is when other countries decide to find other sources for oil, then it will compete with the United States on a limited supply. And any additional competition with us here in the US is likely to send our prices even higher. Okay? We only have a limited supply. And so just keep in mind, the supply and demand principles will kick in once this happens. And the last thing I want you to keep in mind is that long term, according to experts, the price of gas will come down. But some oil executives are now saying that they believe that the issues that we're currently facing will cause additional pain for another at least a couple of months. So just keep that in mind as we move forward. Prices of gas might not come down like we are wanting it to, but at the same time, over the long term, it's going to look a little bit better. So that's what we know at this time. As always, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on, share all latest news and updates. Again, just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday. Have an incredible weekend this weekend as well. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.